Ladies and gentlemen, we are back this week solving one of the great mysteries of our time. The female reproductive system. What is it? Where does it come from? What does it do? Is it real? What is a labia majora? What is a labia minora? I think it sounds like a constellation. We're going to talk all about it. We're going to get deep. Real deep. At least 3 knuckles deep because it's the vagina this week on Nothing Good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for episode 1, season 2 of Nothing Good. We will not be talking about vaginas, although it may come up later on in the show. I'm sorry, Noah. We're talking about King of the Ring 1998, but before we get to all the things that are 1998 King of the Ring, I'm joined by the one and only Noah Brown,
Hello.
Mac Dave McDonald,
What's going on, everybody?
Jeff Vandergrift.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Well, how are you, Doc?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we took some time off, got our heads on straight, recharged the batteries, just get back to the ground level of content creation. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's really good to be back. I think I can speak for the entire audience when they thought we peaked at Bad Boys. Mm-hmm. But there's more.
Oh, no.
There's much more.
Sometimes you got to let it get soft. You got to take a break. You got to act like you got a Charlie horse, get your wind back, and then you go right back in there.
So here we are.
So when I first joined the show back in season 1, around episode 17 or so, I went a full month living in Noah's basement.
You did.
I did. They didn't let me out. I didn't get anything really to eat. Noah spit in my mouth every couple of, days and told me to like it.
After I had a couple of toast cheese crackers.
I was going to say, do you baby bird him?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Nobody told me that we were breaking from season 1 to season 2, so I have just been stuck down in Noah's basement all over again. Except this time it had turned into a sex dungeon, and I was attached to what could only be described as the Undertaker's sigil, which I'm really happy you have that down there, by the way.
WWEshop.com, by the way.
But your lightsaber collection, and I use that term loosely, is quite impressive.
Yes, and it can fit into a variety of places, as one would be able to tell.
I could.
Yes. Well, we are. And I'm first of all, I'm so glad that you were as eager and willing as our audience is eager and willing to let us back in for season 2.
Yes,
season 2. No, someone might ask the question: why the fuck does a podcast that no one really listens to need a second season? And listen, I don't know if y'all ever watch network TV, but they pick crazier shit up for a second season all the time, and we like making the show. So fuck you. What are you doing? Hello. Hi, France.
And I want to just correct you for a second. We have thousands of downloads.
We do.
Thousands. Plural. So I feel like lots of people listen to our show. And multiple times.
Yes. Sometimes one right after the other.
Yes.
You got to stack them up. And we appreciate you stacking up with us. And we want you to see how we stack up because we're excited for season 2. Now let's have sex with the elephant in the room real fast before we do. Why did we take a break? Well, let's be real. If you were one of the very few people who caught our second attempt at a live show.
That show was live.
That show was very live.
I kind of forgot.
Yeah. That show.
I know at least one person was listening to it. At least one.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe
I'm sorry
at the end.
Sorry for that one person who listened to that show. But being real, that went so off the rails that it hopped the rails to a different set of train and transportation. Hopped those rails, then got drunk on tequila and started screaming about Jeff Jarrett. So we killed it.
Yeah.
And
it is what it is. We tried something different. We tried to change the mix a little bit. It did not go well.
No.
I think we all learned a lot of ourselves about it. And from it, and I know I have, and I think the time away was necessary.
Yes. So, but I also want to ask, quick lightning round question. During that time away, I know that some of us all learned a little bit of something about ourselves. Maybe we learned a new hobby. Maybe we learned a new language, a new skill. So I want to go around the table here and ask, what new thing did you learn? And I will start. I learned that you can, so as we know, the male G-spot is in the back. It is in what the kids today call the bussy. But you can actually achieve a tantric orgasm back there as well. Did not know that. And I personally would like to thank Fox News for teaching me how to do that. Mac.
Was it Tucker Carlson?
No, it was not.
See, I would have thought it'd be Tucker Carlson.
No. I'm very confident in saying that Tucker Carlson has no idea what an orgasm is or how to achieve it.
Not with that bow tie.
No.
But
We'll go on. Mac, what have you learned during our hiatus?
what did I learn? I learned how many different colors your leg can turn into. As while we were on hiatus, ladies and gentlemen, I almost broke my leg. Fortunately, it didn't. It's not actually broken, but it's about as close as it probably could be. And I've been kind of nursing that over the hiatus. So watching, getting caught up on a lot of different shows on streaming and everything. Get an opportunity to kind of do some prep work for some of the future episodes we have working on. And, just how many dishes you could stack up in your house before your significant other mentions it to you are the things that I've kind of learned over our hiatus.
Well done.
Yeah.
Jafar.
Yeah, I took the time away to travel a little bit, spend some time with my family, my kids. What I learned the most is that my kids don't give a fuck about hanging out with Dad for the summer. They just want to play Minecraft and Roblox and just stay away from me and my wife. And it sort of puts you in your place as a parent and as an adult. Like, I put in all this work. Now these kids don't fucking care.
They don't give a shit.
Fuck you, Dad. The last time that I was around your daughter, she ghosted me. In person.
Oh. That's impressive.
I like that.
For like the 20 minutes we were hanging out, she's like, "Where's Uncle Dave? I hear him, but I just don't see him." And I'm like, "You mom."
They're the biggest ball busters you'll ever meet in your life. I don't know where they get that from.
I have no idea.
But I'm super proud of that.
Yeah.
I believe I said to your daughter when she was doing this, like, "I see your mouth moving, but I hear your parents' words coming out of it."
That's about right.
It's incredible. Doc, last but not least, what have you done?
What have I done? Not a goddamn thing. Work. No, I'll tell you what I learned. I learned what COVID feels like.
That's unfortunate.
The folks here know that I caught it at one point. I'd say like in the midpoint of our break. It was not pleasant. 102-degree temperature for a couple days was not fun. And I didn't die, thankfully. But I have a greater respect for people who have, had a tougher time with it. Because it was not fun, and I'm glad that I feel 100%. But that bring a little bit of reality into that. Yeah, that's what I learned.
Yeah. Well, half of the answers were real, and then the other half were Jeff's kids. So it's like, you gotta do what you gotta do. Well, I'm glad everyone had some time to be healthy, get unhealthy, but still remain healthy and live up here. Spend time with their children who don't want anything to do with you. I know what that's like. And bringing it back around, we appreciate the audience for letting us take some time, learn a new hold, as they say, and be able to come back into the territory stronger and as better heels than we were in the first place. Fuck you. That's my new version. I'm just gonna randomly put it out there in the middle of a sentence. My brain doesn't know where we're going. I'm just gonna insult you. So
it works.
But speaking of insulting and going to a nice new place, ladies and gentlemen, there's one last thing I want to just drop before we get to today's subject, is that we've all had changes in our lives and in our world. Well, we're doing on today's show, starting off the season fresh with a pro wrestling episode, and wouldn't you know it, there's been a major change or two in the pro wrestling landscape.
Yes, a little bit.
Since our last recording of a wrestling episode.
A significant change.
Whatever do you mean, Noah Brown?
Well, it would appear that the sins of the 80s carried over into the sins of the 90s and into the early 2000s and in the late 2000s and then into the early 2010s, then into the middle and late 2010s, and once you know it, still into the 2020s, as Vince McMahon has voluntarily retired at the age of 77 from World Wrestling Entertainment, therefore ending the fact that he has been in charge of that company my entire life.
40 years at least.
Yes.
Why did you use air quotes when you said the word voluntarily?
Well, because I just know that from my experience seeing a bunch of rich white guys voluntarily retire just as mysterious allegations come out for paid sex with people who work for you and feel obligated to do it because you're in charge of their career and then accept a buyout as, air quote worthy.
So the audience who cannot see what's happening, the air quotes were so heavy in the last 30 seconds.
Noah actually floated out of his chair by about 3 feet. It's like that one scene from SNL when they had Bennett Brower when Chris Farley was doing that, and he's like, I know that I don't smell the part. I know that I don't have good hygiene, and that little children are scared of me at Halloween when I don't wear a costume. And I'm flying. Noah was actually flying. He was there. He did. Yeah.
So, but yeah, and we will discuss this. I'm sure it will pop its wonderful head up through a lot of what we do, wrestling or no wrestling, because we're always thinking about it, always talking about it. But it's so funny that we stand here and record episode 1 of season 2 in a new era of pro wrestling, as we now go back to one of the heights of all time in wrestling, the Attitude Era.
Yes. I thought you were going to say Ric Flair's final match until his next match.
Last final match until the IRS calls him up again.
Yeah.
So he gets married again.
I always say to Steph, and I'm going to say this because recently Mr. Vandergrift and myself had the absolute bona fide fucking privilege of going to see one of the best live shows I've ever seen in my entire life, Rage Against the Machine. Something that I never thought I was ever going to see again in my lifetime. We did not go together, but we were both at the same show.
We made eye contact.
We did make eye contact.
Uncomfortable.
I appreciate tagging each other in Facebook
Was it Top
posts.
Gun level of eye contact?
Yes, it was.
That's powerful.
Tune in next week as we discuss that.
Yeah.
We'll keep going.
But it always brings me back to a conversation I've had with Stephanie because, we never thought we'd ever see Rage again. By the way, they absolutely fucking slayed. They were amazing. And Run the Jewels was fucking amazing, too.
Nice.
Great show. But I always say to Stephanie, because she's a big REM fan, and she's like, REM's broken up and they'll never tour. They'll never tour until somebody's broke. Then they will tour.
And Michael Stipe will come right out of there.
He will come right out of wherever he's hiding.
Yep.
Probably somewhere in Scandinavia. That's how I've always envisioned it.
Canada.
Even if he's not from there.
Canada. It's a separate place.
But I'm like, bands break up or say they're retiring until somebody needs that money, and then they're always going to bring it back. Which brings me to Ric Flair.
Yeah. No, and what I listen, I feel like part of us probably wants to actually just compile an entire wrestling review show of wrestling retirement matches. We do like all 15 of Terry Funk's. We do both the Flairs. We do, and then matches we didn't know were their last matches, etc.
Right.
So we all get mad at Goldberg again because he should pay for what he's done.
Goldberg.
Fuck that guy so bad. Fuck you, Goldberg. But it's real easy to take a shot at Flair because it's a cash grab. But also, in the same respect too, it is a cash grab. It's a big one. So,
we can question Ric Flair the man and his personal antics all we want, and it's easy to do because he's an easy target. We can question his reasoning for coming back out of retirement for money. Of course, money is important. Money runs the world. However, I kept an eye on Twitter because I was half tempted to get the pay-per-view because
Conrad,
because I want to see some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
But I do genuinely respect his willingness to get back in the ring. His man almost died a few years ago.
Yeah.
To get back in the ring, get back in some level of ring shape, and do what he wanted to do supposedly one last time. And if Ric Flair wants to come back 4 more times, fuck it, let him. I mean, there are some people in wrestling who have earned the right to come out of retirement as many times as they damn well please. And I think Ric Flair is one of those people. He has done more, sold out more stadiums than most wrestlers will ever do. He was a household name before there were too many household names. He ushered in an entire era of cool heel. His stable, the Four Horsemen, goddamn. I was throwing up the 4 fingers back when I was in middle school because it was fucking cool. I wasn't cool, but the Horsemen were cool.
I was throwing up one finger and got in a lot of trouble for
Well,
it.
you know,
That's
blame
a-
Austin for that.
We're gonna get into that here in a second.
But I just feel like, you know, I went through like a range of emotions with this, and I came to a conclusion that he genuinely earned this. He has put more time on the road, 300 plus days a year, when guys now are working, 2-3 days a week, making more money than effectively he was making.
Yeah.
But he was on the road, putting asses in seats. He was the traveling champion. He went
And-
to territory
yeah.
and territory.
All
He
time.
earned the
Yeah.
right to come out of retirement as many times as he wants, and I will respect that.
I guess at the end of the day, it's a grand question versus how it's like the multiplier thing, right? You have to take what it is and what it appears to be and multiply it by how you actually feel about the person doing it, right? And if you have a positive concept of Ric Flair at the end of the day after checks and balances, then go for it. If you don't, then you're going to have an issue with it. And we had mentioned privately a few weeks ago, asking the question, was this Flair taking advantage of Conrad or Conrad taking advantage of Ric Flair?
I'd say it's a little bit of column A. and B.
Little A and B. Little A and B. But you know what? Regardless, it was trending on Twitter and everyone was talking about it and Bret Hart was there. So
Undertaker was there.
he was there.
That was a
Mick
great
Foley
visual.
was there.
They were.
Michelle
Lot-
McCool was there.
A little, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. And then you send videos in.
Why
from
would you say
Spain.
that about Mick? We're going to be talking about him later.
Hey,
Hey.
I love you, Mick.
Dare you?
How dare
How
you?
dare you,
That's
sir.
Mick McCool.
Billy Ray
You
was
should
there.
just call her Mick McCool, like Mike Bay.
What's wrong with Mike Bay?
Oh, I've actually gotten feedback on that. Like, he was fired up. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, who calls him Mike
You're so
Bay? I'm like,
nonchalant
Doc.
about it.
Yeah. Doc calls him. And then
Why?
you're like, you keep kayfabing it. Like, you keep notes on it. Like, oh, why?
Why?
Why? And like, no, because he clearly prefers Michael, but you said it. Like,
He
it's,
prefers Michael. What the fuck?
Regardless.
Do I know him personally?
no.
So why the fuck does it matter if he prefers Mike or Michael?
I just don't think you're capable of not saying it without it sounding to our audience like you're disrespecting it. So that being said, I fucking love it and I'm here for it.
Oh, I'm
I don't
glad.
want you to stop.
Because I'm not. I literally been calling that man effectively Mike Bay for years. I didn't realize it was a thing until you made it a thing. Yeah, I'm talking to you now. You made it a thing.
We're absolutely check out now the Mike Bay T-shirt available in the Nothing Good merchandise shop. Show your support for Mike Bay and all his future
Just like
endeavors.
I said, Mike Bay.
But here we are. I love it. We're here now. King of the Ring,
Yes.
1998. One of the, if not the most infamous moments of wrestling history, certainly the Attitude Era. Takes place from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Hey, that's where we live.
There it is.
Hey, look at that.
Whoa.
What?
It's crazy.
It's
No.
a good old Civic Mellon Arena.
No shit, the Mellon Arena, the Civic Arena.
It was the Civic Arena at that point.
It
It,
was.
wasn't.
It
They
was,
hadn't
yeah.
had any sponsorship.
The
at
Mellon
that
Arena
point.
wouldn't come until the early 2000s. in that era.
The sponsorship of the pay per view, which I have to go ahead and call out here because it's fucking dope. Super Soaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
You
about
know?
that?
Super Soaker presents King of the Ring, 1998. It's like, oh, yeah, give me that shit. And you think about the idea, just something you just pump up, and then release onto your poor neighbor's face. I appreciate that.
What was your Super Soaker of choice, gentlemen, as a kid?
Well, that's what the
Mine was the Super Soaker 100.
That was the yellow and green one, right?
No, that was the 50.
That was the 50.
I had the
the
50.
the blue and yellow one was the 100. It had like
Yeah,
the
I had
little
the 50.
air reservoir on the back,
Yeah.
so with that extra push, that
little
extra,
extra,
that extra,
That extra
little,
squirt.
that little,
That extra squirt. Get you
100,
extra-
I think.
Yeah.
I think it was my jam. I think. I can barely remember the numbers to that.
I had the yellow one.
Yeah,
the yellow one with
same.
the, yeah.
Yeah, that was a 50. And there was a Super Soaker 30. It was like the little handheld one. It was like the pistol that was orange.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody who had that.
No,
No.
It was go big or go home with a Super Soaker.
I mean, at that point.
I had a little bit of a Super Soaker arsenal.
Yeah.
I was kind
Nice.
of like John Wick and John Wick 2 when it came to water gun battles in our neighborhood.
Nice.
Where I would have like Super Soakers like full and positioned at different places, and as I was just like ravishing and destroying people, I just keep falling back to bigger and bigger Super Soakers until I got to one that wasn't the Super Soaker. It was the ZX2000, which was like a 3-gallon
I think
the
I remember
backpack
that.
one?
Yeah, it was
the
a backpack one, and it just had like a fire hose
That's
on it.
right.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
You spray someone down with everything you got for like 9 seconds.
9
And then it was
whole seconds.
9 glorious
Which
seconds.
is a lot of my love life. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
Hose him down.
For
with
nine good seconds.
9 seconds doesn't seem like a long time until you're in the middle of being hosed down. then you're like, well, is this ever going to end? You're like, nope, we're only halfway there.
4.5 felt like it was enough. Nope, we're just half. Like Bon Jovi said, we're only halfway there.
That is more talk about Super Soaker than I expected tonight.
Well, they brought us.
I'm glad it happened.
Well, let's set the stage. Let's set the stage in case you are one of the few people who doesn't know why this pay-per-view happened and where it happened. We are now in the summer, the summer of 1998. We are past WrestleMania 14. We are in the prime Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon blood feud as it would happen through the ages, and that is one of our key talking points today. Vince McMahon was desperate to stop Steve Austin from winning the title. That didn't happen. Then he was desperate to keep it off of him, and frankly, that hasn't happened yet. But now, our main event of the evening, he has set Steve Austin to defend the WWF Championship against Kane in a first blood match. Now, Kane is a man who is covered head to toe in red leather and other shit.
Spandex.
Only his hand is free.
That pay-per-view, he debuted his long sleeve uniform too, because before that it was cut off at the shoulders. So even more covered area to avoid bleeding if possible.
So the deck was stacked against Austin, but just to make this the must-see TV that the WWF was so well known for in 1998, Kane has to beat Steve Austin and win the WWF Championship today, because if he doesn't, Jeff, what does he got to do?
I think he's going to catch himself on fire.
He's going to fucking light himself on fire.
On live television.
He's going to light himself on fucking fire.
Spoiler alert, every time.
Like you do.
Yeah, like you do. Listen, ironically, wanting to light yourself on fire because of a loss is a very Pittsburgh fan thing to do.
It's very legal if you do it to yourself.
It is. It is. As long as you don't
like you
danger
try to
others.
kill a man on a pay-per-view.
You know, my all-time hero, George Carlin, had this whole bit where he's talking about the different things that you can kind of do if you really want to get your point across. And then he just would go, or you could just light yourself on fire! And just the expression on his face, like, that's when people really knew how to protest. And I'm like, fucking Kane is just going to go all fucking pyro on us.
It's like you thought for a second that maybe Kane was against the patriarchy. And then instead of, being who he ended up being here in the part of the 21st century.
Mayor Kane?
Mayor Kane just tweeting out nonsense at this point.
We don't talk about Glenn Jacobs anymore.
No, we don't.
We can talk about Kane, but not Glenn Jacobs.
But Kane, surprisingly, the entire audience, every time they mention it, is all ready for Kane to light his ass on fire. Which should be a reflection of the bloodthirst of the crowd and how all over Austin was at that era.
People in that fucking crowd legit brought marshmallows.
They did.
We're talking 1998.
Yeah.
Like, listen, man, you're either going to bleed or this motherfucker's self-immolation.
Yep.
It's one or the other.
Talk about the world.
What the hell?
Talk about the world of 1998, right?
What's wrestling on?
We had a balanced budget.
No, dude. We did.
The country had a balanced budget. We're pre-9/11.
Yep.
No, my.
So, most of our shit wasn't being monitored.
So it was our wonder years, is what you're saying.
It really was our wonder years. No internet.
Pokemon was
barely
brand new.
internet.
Very
Barely. Some of us barely had internet.
Yeah.
AOL.
It was
At that
dial-up.
point.
Internet
It was dial-up.
pornography had not quite taken over every possible facet of the
Our
world.
pornography was still watching the scrambled version of Cinemax
Squiggle
at 11:30. Or is that a boob? That is a boob. That's not a boob. Is that?
Or is it a
that
vagina?
Yeah. Or
a labia?
vaginas. There it is. No, or you find a tape that someone you and your family had in their box, and then you had to rewind it to the exact spot so they didn't know that you had.
Sounds like you've done this.
Who hasn't?
Welcome to the
There it
inside
is.
spot.
I'm high-fiving this motherfucker right here
my
because
God.
I absolutely had to make sure that I rewound that to the exact spot. And then again, and then again, and then again.
Yeah, and yeah, for sure. But it couldn't go missing, and because the one time you didn't, and we're like, what the hell? Who was him? They would know.
Who left this in the VCR?
Oh my! That's the mistake you don't want to make.
Barb?
Oh my God, that's incredible. That's incredible. But to say, so we're in the height of the McMahon, Austin, and now Kane either has to win a match that he has no right losing or light himself on fire. The other point to talk about, one of the other 2 points, is that we are at the King of the Ring pay-per-view, which means that we are having a King of the Ring tournament happening all around us, and we are in the midst of the rise. One of 2 men are going to rise to the next level of superstardom. Would it be a young upstart by the name of The Rock, the Intercontinental Champion, Ultimate Fighter and World's Most Dangerous Man. One of these two men is going to rise to glory, and that's one of our B storylines. But frankly, the reason we're even having this conversation right now is because the semi-main event,
The real main event.
is the culmination of a year and a half, 2 years rather,
Yep.
of storylines and feud between one Mankind Mick Foley, who has just reverted back to Mankind after being Dude Love and Cactus Jack for a long period of time.
Yep.
Going against the one and true phenom of pro wrestling, The Undertaker,
I was going to say Dan Severn.
and the Beast Severn,
God.
who we will get to in a moment.
We're going to talk about you,
We're
Dan.
going to talk about Danny Severn.
Wait a minute. You can say Danny fucking Severn.
First of all, I didn't say you couldn't say Mike Bay.
And I get
Listen.
judged for saying Mike Bay.
Here's the thing. Mike Bay can't do anything about it. So there's no real risk. Like, if Mike Bay came up to you and it's like, don't call me Mike Bay, and you're like, don't be a fucking shitty person. You're
be
like,
a bad
okay.
director.
And then you just go cry somewhere. But if Dan Severn said, don't call me Danny, I'd have to listen.
Like, you know what?
Because
Yes, sir.
there's a price to pay.
Yeah. You
So
may be
who's
dead.
more likely going to be hiding out in Noah's flower bed by the time we're done recording this? Mike Bay or Danny Severn?
It's like if you say his name 3 times, he just shows up.
I mean, it is sunset, so I feel like we have a better chance of Mike Bay popping up than anything
Yeah,
else.
right.
Right.
It's the magic hour, and everyone's all sweating.
So,
But there it is.
here we are.
Yeah.
The stage is set, and we are here to talk about the very first match, which I think was an excellent opener.
6-man tag.
We
Six-man
got
tag.
Headbangers and Taka Michinoku versus Kai and Tai, which included
Well, that would be Shofunaki, Men's Tio, and Dick to Go.
oh my
So
god,
fun to
the
say.
greatest name ever.
Greatest. Oh my God! Thank you,
Every-
Dick to Go.
He should just like come out in a giant like paper bag.
Every time I go to the hot dog shop and order hot dogs, I ask for Dick to go, and they don't get it.
No,
No.
no,
It's unfortunate.
no.
That's an
day.
opportunity lost.
Yeah.
You know who would get it? Shofunaki would get it. Yeah,
Indeed.
indeed.
Yes.
Indeed.
But Dick to Go was in this match, and that's frankly all we need to. No, it was actually a really great match.
Yeah, the match was great.
Unnecessarily good, but you had Kai and Tai and Taka Michinoku working there, and Headbangers were just doing their.
They were just there.
We're
Yeah.
left over from a time, and we'll be hanging around for a little bit longer.
When did they come around? Was it only 97?
97.
Okay, I thought so. Because I can't remember them in 96 at all.
I think they were a Jim Cornette thing. I think they were a Smoky Mountain team.
Yeah,
during
sounds
that.
about right.
Yeah. And then they got up and they got pushed, but they were in the right place at the right time because Vince McMahon hates tag teams. And so he gets this idea to do a bunch of gimmicky tag teams. And then he's like, you know what? Fuck all of you. We're breaking you all up, and we're just going to put a bunch of singles guys in tag teams. Then when he's done with the singles guys being tag teams, he looks around and what's the most gimmicky tag team I got? Well, you're the new fucking stars. Enter the Headbangers.
Yeah. I liked the Headbangers when I was a kid. I thought they were pretty cool. I mean, they
fun.
weren't great,
They were
but they were great
entertaining.
characters.
Yeah.
But, like, the Headbangers, I feel like, were just a little bit late. Like, if you'd had the Headbangers in 93, I'd get it. But, like, what are they headbanging to?
But they were too close to the Bushwhackers.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, they're just
At that-
Attitude Era Bushwhackers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they headbanging to fucking, like, Chumbawamba?
I mean, so they had like a Misfits and Marilyn Manson shirt.
Yeah.
But I don't really, know if you can't really headbang to Marilyn you can headbang. You can't mosh pit, which is what their dance was. They didn't headbang because they didn't have hair to headbang, so they just mosh pitted.
So I'm of a totally different thought. I felt like they arrived at the precise, perfect time. Because at the time, you look at the landscape of 1998 WWE, it's wrestling in general. It's all anti-establishment. It's all thumbing your nose at authority. It's, the skirts, the face paint, jumping into each other. 98 people were moshing like no one's fucking business.
They
I mean,
were.
they
Right?
could have just been the fucking Mel Gibsons because Braveheart just came out, and they could have just went William Wallace all over everybody
They
at that
they
point.
very well. You're
could've
right.
there.
You're
He wasn't
right.
as anti-Semitic then.
Oh, he always.
Oh,
was.
he always was, but he just hadn't let
You
it
know
out
what?
yet.
Fuck Mel Gibson for that shit.
Mel Gibson. Yeah.
We're going in
Good
a
guy.
direction I didn't expect.
That's all right. We're just getting
Thanks,
there.
Dave.
There you go. Also, while we're at it, audience, fuck you. Well, at the same time, too. Just
Let's
keep you on your
let's
toes.
not fuck the audience. Huh?
No. Oh, first of all, you don't tell me what to do with my spare time. Okay? You know the kind of relationship I've been cultivating now with different countries. Okay? I think there's a reason why the second most popular country that listens to us is France. Because I keep making fun of them and telling them to fuck themselves, and they're like, we like this guy, and they're still here. So you know what? Some people just like to be abused. There's an entire pages on Pornhub about just be shitty to people.
And
so,
French baguettes.
Yeah.
That's the second time porn has just come right back
That's
up.
going to come up.
Just keeps
So-
coming back in.
It's an episode
It's
about
season
vaginas.
2, baby. We're just
It's an
going
episode
right
about vaginas.
So this match, I thought I forgot how smooth Taka was.
Taku was
so
so
good.
good.
He was the
So
highlight
good.
of the match,
So
no doubt.
excellent at everything that he did. And it's just nice to see. And it's unfortunate that, for whatever reason, I couldn't tell you the actual reason, that the light heavyweight division wasn't cultivated enough and wasn't.
You know the reason why.
There's the thing I don't really know. I know what I read and what I hear in podcasts, but no one really knows it for the people who are in the room. Yeah, Vince didn't like it, maybe, but I mean, if they could have just done what WCW did, but with better characters, goddamn.
Oh, yeah.
But, honestly, it's kind of good that WCW had that corner.
No, and I think it still gives us something fun to reflect back on with WCW. They're like, oh, yeah, the cruiserweights and how many... God, I mean, you could just throw every single cruiserweight away that ever came out of that except Eddie Guerrero and Chris Jericho, and you still above the pay grade with what you broke even on that investment. Then the greatest of all time, Rey Mysterio, and every single... Dean Malenko and Crispin, other people. And stuff of that nature.
Crispin, we don't talk about him.
I really look forward to watching Rey Mysterio wrestle with his grandkids. I feel like that's where this storyline's really going. Like,
They'll be the same size.
Dominic is never going to turn on his father, and then Dominic's going to have a kid, and Rey's going to still be wrestling into his mid-60s, and it's going to be a whole generational that we've never seen before.
And then somehow Ray will also be even more muscular than he is
will.
now.
Yeah.
And oddly just as limber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's appreciate, though, Ray. This is not a WCW show, but Rey Mysterio has been doing this for a very long time.
And,
hot minute.
and that man, I mean, Rey Mysterio was one of my favorites in the mid 90s.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because just nobody could do what he could do. Mm-hmm. And I just remember, my brother's like, you got to watch this guy. He's doing shit in the air that nobody can do. And the fact that guy is even upright at this stage of his life,
And still
to me,
working at a pretty high level.
even if he wasn't working, I'd be thrilled if he was still upright.
That's
but the
fair.
fact that he's even working is just complete fucking joy in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Working and putting people over.
Yeah.
Like, flat out. And here's the thing. He knows how to make beating him mean something. Like, he knows how to elevate people. And that's a lost art on
He's a
itself.
former heavyweight champion, man.
Yeah,
Rey Mysterio's a big fucking
He's
deal.
a multi-time heavyweight champion, huge star. And he's still going.
Everybody knows the area code for San Diego.
Yep, thanks to him.
That's
Yeah.
really true. I didn't
Damn.
fucking know before that song.
Nope.
Yeah,
Or that
Corey
move.
Graves isn't going out there doing the 412.
Thank
No.
God for that. No one's
Oh
gonna
my
do
God,
that.
that'd be funny. Just beating someone in the face with Turner's tea and half a pierogi. That's the 412 right there. And having a real strong opinionated about a sport you'll never
Why a
play.
Pittsburgh wrestler doesn't get up there and do a Stone Cold, but with Turner's iced tea is beyond
That's
me.
incredible.
That's
I'm
an
just-
opportunity missed.
Diabetes, Dave.
I want to know. And speaking of
That's why.
Pittsburgh, because we're back here this is where the show takes place, is Vince McMahon has had every stereotype gimmick. We've had people of color representing countries they're not even from with the most stereotype gimmick. We've had Southerners playing cowboys, and we've had Luke Gallows being basically Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Right.
Every over-the-top Native American gimmicks, construction workers, cops, plumbers, hockey players, Spider-Man, the Ninja Turtles, all this stuff. But we have not got one Yinzer wrestler. It's like, tonight on Monday Night Raw, it's going to be Jeff Mullet versus Seth Rollins. Like, yeah, I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to take Seth down Pound Town, and I'm going to treat him like a Permane sandwich, and I'm going to half eat him in a parking lot. Then I'm going to get real drunk over PBR and fight my girlfriend.
Fight my girl.
Like, we don't have, a dead Yinzer character. There's money on the table. That's all I'm saying.
I don't need another wrestler getting go-away heat. Because that's exactly what would happen.
Oh, Yinzer don't like it. Nah,
Oh, God, I'd hate that motherfucker so much.
You guys think Pittsburgh was bad when we took over the Royal Rumble? Was that 2014?
2014.
Yeah, you think that was bad? Imagine if there was a Yinzer wrestler on the fucking card.
Oh my
and
God.
He wasn't main eventing in Pittsburgh. You want to talk about the crowd taking over?
Oh my God. He's like, I'm going to call Ricochet. So
This match was excellent.
it actually was surprisingly
Michinoku
good.
Driver,
Was very
great
good.
fucking move.
Set it up, set it down, and we got a little bit of dick to go.
Did we get a little bit? Or did we get a lot?
Just
or did we
enough.
not get enough?
I feel like we could have gotten seconds and no one would have complained. But as long as some dick to go was given.
That's why he was to go.
Yeah.
You take the bag
Take
with
it with you. Take it with you. Yeah.
Listen, I was a little disappointed that the headbangers had shorts on under their skirts. Like, if they were truly headbangers, all their heads would be banging in that match, and they weren't.
I feel like you're confusing the with a kilt stereotype. I don't know. I've been in a couple mosh pits, and there's like at least I've never known. Maybe that explains a lot about stuff I didn't realize about mosh pits. Then I'm the only one wearing pants in there.
It's just balls knocking
Yeah,
in
just-
the pit. That's it.
Like a Newton's cradle, but with heavy metal and a mosh pit. So what's next?
Sable.
Sable's up. Speaking of being up, Sable's
Just to
up.
be paraded around.
So
Yeah.
Sable was next, but Dave wanted to see Headbangers balls.
I was disappointed that no, I didn't want to see them. No, listen, let me
That's what he
clarify.
said.
Let me
That's
clarify.
exactly what you said.
Let me clarify season 2, all right, everybody? I didn't want to see their balls. I was just disappointed that I didn't see their balls. That's all I'm saying.
Way to clarify.
If real men wear kilts, what are the headbangers? That's all I'm saying.
I just want to say that is a legal argument that I feel like we need to like send to Harvard by saying that that you're not you're just disappointed you didn't see something. Does that mean that you wanted to see it?
Am I the only person who wanted to know if the carpet matched the drapes for the headbangers?
Could you imagine if like it did fly up and they also had their balls with those black triangles piecing on that side?
But they weren't kilts. They were just their flannel.
Well,
They're
Matt,
like
wait a minute.
grunge
You want to know
flannels, right?
if they match? They had no hair on their heads. You don't want to know.
It's the Attitude Era.
I'm just going to point out that I did not expect to get hung up on this first match
Right,
as much as we did. We're
Right.
doing great. We're doing great. So Sable's out there.
Sable's out, and one of two really pointless segments in the show that just kill time for reasons beyond my comprehension.
Pointless for the time, not necessarily pointless watching back because of something I'm sure we'll talk about. Jones, go ahead.
I just feel like the whole segment was pointless. You got Vinnie Mac before his theme song. It was weird watching him come out.
Yeah.
it was
It's weird when he
real
shuffles down there.
odd.
I mean, his promo,
No chance.
his promo did shit all over Pittsburgh.
I mean, it was great. And the Vince hadn't figured out how to promo yet, kind of a promo.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
But I just want to point out that without the song, you heard how much actual heat he was getting as he went down to the ring, which I kind of like that because then it's like, oh, that's the whole point of having a awesome heel theme is make people immediately boo. If you just saunter your way out there and they boo anyway, mission accomplished.
Is Vince? I mean, look, we all talk about Vince McMahon's like the best heel in the Attitude Era. He's one of the greatest heels of all time. Yeah, but let's just take a second and break that down. Why is he the greatest heel ever? He's not relatable at all. There's nothing about him you can relate to.
Because you can relate to fuck your boss.
You can relate to
Well,
fuck your
just
boss.
think like just break down. He's not relatable, which is good. That's the idea. You can't get behind him unless your storyline forces you
He's
to.
not a babyface or he's not a tragic hero like in a movie. This is wrestling.
He's old.
Yeah.
He's rich.
Yeah.
There's nothing about him you really like, and it's perfect. You know what I mean? Like I sometimes go back and I watch old stuff and like, 97, 2001, 2002. It's like a magical time for him. Like the level of heat that he could generate, and then with just his facial expressions, could become a face. Just the right little bit of storyline, aligning with the right person, and instantly he's a massive baby face.
Yeah,
It's
he just
amazing,
does
actually.
either way.
WrestleMania 2000.
Yeah.
He was over as a baby face because he aligned with The Rock.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like he's such a great character. He's a terrible person apparently, but he's a great character. I love the character.
I mean, yeah, he was excellent in that role, and I don't think you can take that away from him. But at this point in '98, he was still kind of finding his way.
Mhm.
He kind of basically thesaurused about Pittsburgh for a little bit, but it was just go out there, parade Sable around, and then use her to make sure that everyone has all the heat that they need on the main event. And also, it's kind of a way, I guess, to buy time because I don't think anyone expected the main event, the Hell in a Cell match, to go as long as it did.
Yeah.
But it went. But that's not the real thing to talk about from this segment. It's talking about on the nose things to do. Which one of you guys would like to describe that when they asked Sable to leave the ring? What happened?
Well, as was very common during the Attitude Era, Vince came down to the ring with his cronies. which was Briscoe and Patterson. And Pat Patterson, when Sable was about to leave the ring, gave her a little ushering out of the ring in the form of a gentle yet firm pat on Sable's perfectly formed ass.
A Pat Patterson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A Pat Patterson. A Patterson Pat Patterson on that pat on that ass. And, Sable didn't just go, ooh, I'd like some more. She turned around and gave Pat Patterson a major slap.
Oh, she paintbrushed the hell out of him.
Paintbrushed the hell out of him.
With a bunch of her hand a little bit, too. So Pat took that one.
Yep. And at that very same moment, ladies and gentlemen, Ross makes a comment on the broadcast that Patterson's getting liberal in territory he's not familiar with.
Jim always trying to get himself over a little bit.
It's like he always talks about maximizing your minutes, but no one ever mentions the fact that Jim Ross, more than anybody else, maximized Pat Patterson's minutes.
Oh man, did he
with
ever.
as many references as he could pack in there, which is the ultimate inside reference at that time in '98, and I just find it very.
Nobody knew what that was about.
Nope.
Not in
At the time, I had no
Went
idea.
right over everybody's head.
But now we do know what that means.
It was one of those if you know, you know
if
moments.
you know, you know. But we can't quite talk about it yet. Because it's not...
We're not
in
there
the late
yet.
90s, we weren't there. You know.
We're still at a point where we're still not past the point where Goldust was a heel, just because he was a sexually ambiguous character, right?
Right.
Like so we're not there. But that being said, there's two ways to look at this. So one is no one knew, so it's just Jim Ross doing Jim Ross to keep himself entertained. And now 20-some years later, 25 years, 24 years later, we can be like, that aged really well. On the flip side, at the time, you're like, oh my God, Jerry Lawler's hilarious. And now, 20-some years later, the amount of racial remarks that Jerry Lawler made in the opening match alone
by itself
Oh.
is astounding.
It's to the point where, like, here at season 2, I don't feel comfortable repeating them. Like, and we said some shit on the first 50 episodes.
God damn, we did.
But,
Well,
but
you
yeah.
did.
I did. It happened. And God damn it, I may do it again, but not today. And
So
not about this.
now we're into the second match. We get through the pointless segment.
Which we're getting into King of the Ring territory now.
Yeah. So we got Jeff Jarrett versus
There it
Ken
is.
Shamrock, which is really exciting. I think the match was. You okay, Mac?
I just felt a disturbance in the force when you mentioned Jeff Jarrett. I don't know why.
I just think
I just felt the dark side a little bit.
Somebody grumbled angrily.
Somebody grumbled
Someone's mad-
angrily about it.
maybe. I actually think it's the other way around. I think you're feeling that we here at the show, and anyone who's ever appeared on this show or has ever listened to this show, fucking adores Jeff Jarrett. And any reaction to a extreme negative to that is really not about Jeff Jarrett. It's about what are you hiding about Jeff Jarrett inside yourself? I would ask. There's two types of people, I guess we're saying. There's the people that like Jeff
interesting
Jarrett.
point.
There's the people that like Jeff Jarrett, and then there's the people who might be gay for Jeff Jarrett.
Oh.
And then we need to call that one
I mean,
right
not
now.
that there's anything wrong with that, but
No,
come forward
no,
with it if that's
no.
how you feel.
So then
You'll
again, so
feel
you
better
either
about your
like
life.
Jeff Jarrett or
so
you
yes,
really
I
like
agree.
Jeff Jarrett. But I like that, and I like this match.
Yeah, I've said this before, and I'll mention it like a million times. In regards to Ken Shamrock, it's really a shame he was never heavyweight champion. That he didn't
He
stay
could've.
the course. God damn, that dude
He
had
could've.
pretty much everything you could want in a heavyweight champion.
Yeah, he was total
legit.
package, and he could fucking work.
Yeah, he was
So-
legit. He had the size. He really wasn't a great talker, but he didn't need to be.
Yeah, and the crowd was behind him.
Well, so when you talk about Ken Shamrock, and I made a little note about this match because I thought this was interesting. You guys remember, like, when we were watching cartoons as a kid, and, like, we'd be, like, watching, like, something like Muppet Babies or something, and, like, the Muppet Babies wanted to, like, get into, like, an R-rated movie or something, so they all, like, stood on top of
I
each
missed that
other's-
episode.
Well, I'm just getting, like, okay, that...
The Muppet Babies wanted to go see Showgirls.
Kermit,
Let's make sure
there
we
might have been
rewind
Muppet
that
Babies
VHS
fan
to the
fiction or
exact-
something.
I think it
but,
might have been.
You know, maybe they're like...
One
if they-
ticket for Universal Soldier, please.
What?
All right, so maybe like the grocery store or something, and they're trying to like check out at the grocery store, and they're
Yeah.
Muppet Babies trying to buy a gun.
That's America. It'll work.
they're gonna go kill whoever the nanny was that they never showed in the Muppet Babies, right?
If it was in Texas, they would have got that gun.
Yep.
Keep
Would've-
going.
Yeah, but like when they're standing on top of each other, like on top of each other's shoulders and everything, and they're wearing a trench coat to try to pretend like they're an adult, but clearly they're not. That's Ken Shamrock's muscles. That's basically what's going on there.
It would be funny if, like, he gets done wrestling and he goes into the shower and he unzips his taint and, like, just 1,000 small people fall out.
1,000 Kid Shamrocks fall out.
Just like, guys, great match. We're gonna get there someday.
We did it, guys.
The dude's built like a fucking tank.
No, he
Dude
was.
is
Yeah.
beast.
I maintain that he would have been champion, and relatively soon, knowing what we know about what would happen with Austin's health as the years go on, if he had... I mean, here's the thing. In a world where The Rock doesn't happen, Shamrock certainly happens. He becomes their number 2. Because even though The Rock helped elevate Shamrock, it also did Shamrock in, because now he's compared against this other guy.
Right.
And in this world where you have your main event players, your level of Undertaker, Kane, Austin, Mick Foley, right there. There's your echelon. And the other guy's just ready to break through. The Rock, Ken Shamrock, Triple H, and one of them is the head of the DX. One of them is the head of the Nation, and one's just an angry dude. One of these guys is the odd man out. One of those things changes, and Shamrock's up in that picture.
Yeah.
He might have been able to maintain a strong enough babyface push that when Austin goes down in November '99, gets hit by the car, starting a storyline that ultimately goes nowhere, then instead of the Big Show getting the belt for whatever reason, you give it to Shamrock.
I think you got a really valid point, and from what I've always heard is that Shamrock, although they wanted to strap the rocket ship to him, it was more a matter of he was not reliable.
No.
And Vince McMahon hates that shit.
Yeah,
You've
that
got
was
to be
part of it,
reliable.
because, I don't think that talent-wise at the time the WWF was top-heavy.
No.
Like, there was definitely room for him if he just played ball.
They were very top light at that point because pretty much all their main eventers left.
Yeah.
And it just basically left this void that, a couple guys were able to kind of rise into.
I mean, just to add to what you just said and what everyone's saying, let's put it in perspective. 1 year earlier than this, Bret Hart's still in the WWF.
Yep.
Shawn Michaels is in the WWF. Vader is something more than whatever Vader had become, and he was still there. Ahmed Johnson was in the WWF, and all of these stars had like the world looked like this. Oh, I don't know. And WCW was fucking wrecking the WWF.
Vader was the dad of that guy on Boy Meets World.
He was.
Yeah,
And Mick Foley was in that
Ethan
show too.
Suplee's dad, wasn't it?
I don't know. I never watched it.
I remember that name, because I don't.
I watched.
No recollection.
I watched Topanga.
We all watched Topanga.
We all watched Topanga.
And Angela. I watched a lot of Angela. But anyhow, that's neither here nor
Moving
there.
on.
So the match was excellent. Okay, let me phrase that. It wasn't excellent. It was good. Look, Jeff Jarrett, for my money, who at the time I fucking hated Jeff Jarrett because I didn't think it was cool. He wasn't cool. Nothing about Jeff Jarrett was
actual
cool.
heel.
But now, with the benefit of hindsight, looking back on his matches over decades now, he was a solid ass hand. He was really good in the ring. He wasn't amazing at any one thing, but he was good at everything.
No, it was great.
Even though WWE was trying to erase the territorial lines, it was
were.
still very much a northeastern promotion. So you didn't often see characters like Jeff Jarrett, the country musician, the cowboy hat and the whole persona. You didn't really see a lot of those guys kind of get over because really where the territory was kind of, where the foundation of the territory is, you didn't have a lot of that southern, like in WCW. If you have Jeff Jarrett in WCW, he's probably main eventing within 6 months. But, he was very much, that character was very much an outlier in what WWE was doing at that point. And I think that's probably why at that point in time that we didn't quite give him the appreciation that we do now looking back on what he was doing at that time.
I just absolutely underline everything you guys just said. And basically, the whole reason Jeff Jarrett is Jeff Jarrett and is a Hall of Famer today is not because he didn't do anything super amazing that you're like, oh my god, he never did anything wrong. We talked about that in our In Your House too review too. Like show me a bad Jeff Jarrett match.
It was hard pressed.
The song was bad.
Yeah, some bad.
Consistent.
Yeah, right. And that's and at least you can't. If you did, it was someone else who fucked it up, and it wasn't him.
Yeah,
because he was a professional.
And
his job tonight was to elevate Ken Shamrock in.
And he did.
And he did. And Robert Fuller did.
I think because I write in my notes that Jarrett tapped out with the quickness.
Yeah.
He put that move over really well.
Yep.
Instant lock in, tap.
He's not being paid by the hour.
Yeah.
He is getting out.
And I just, it's cool about Jeff Jarrett is that the country singer gimmick in the beginning was a big deal, which we covered. But after his stint in WCW the first time, he came back and it wasn't very eventful.
Oh,
but until that head got shaved.
Well, after this
and
starts...
he got pissed off.
Well, a lot of people don't realize is that as we'll get into here later on, is that the Nation and a DX feud, when you think about that, you think about the two groups, and you think about The Rock and Triple H, right? But what we don't think about is, which is going to be happening very shortly, is that the whole reason those two groups feuded was X-Pac and Owen Hart starting their program together, right?
Yep.
And after that ends very soon, both places, people need somewhere to go. And wouldn't you know it, that the red-hot D-Generation X upstart Sean Waltman would find his way to Jeff Jarrett, which would elevate Jeff Jarrett in a way that Jeff Jarrett desperately needed.
I would never have seen coming.
No, in a way that he desperately needed. And I disagree with the statement that he broke 1,000 guitars and never drew a dime. I think he did. No. He drew at least one dime. My dime. That day.
Because he was cool when he was a heel with the guitar and everything. He was, don't piss me off. I loved that.
Yeah, he was one of those heels you just love to hate.
Yeah.
He'd come out, pulling Deborah along with the guitar like, this dude's going to fuck somebody up.
I love the subtle things that they would never do today, but the fact that she would come out and she would wave, and he'd reins up, and then he'd move, and she'd stop, but he'd just yank her a little bit, right? Just not like the one would hurt her, but
just a slight good
just
hand.
A dickhead kind of a thing. Yeah. You're like, oh man,
it was perfect.
Perfect. But moving along, from one perfect to another.
To not a perfect match.
Not a perfect match, but a perfect moment in time for a character. It's Dan Severn, the Beast.
The Beast.
Danny Severn, against someone you may have heard of before. The Rock.
I think we all know who Dwayne Johnson is. God knows who Dwayne Johnson is.
The world will know forever.
Okay, I'm going to just get it out. I don't have a whole lot of good things to say about this match.
Nope.
The match was awkward as hell. You could tell that Dan Severn, who was an accomplished wrestler at this point, looked green, and he wasn't. It was just awkward.
I just think both guys had a different idea of what it took to get them to the next level this big, and neither one of them was going to back down. Because you got to remember, this is the Wild West. This is the Attitude Era. And The Rock is a third-generation star, and Dan Severn is a shooter, straight out. So The Rock doesn't feel like he has to do a damn thing if he doesn't want to, and Dan Severn ain't doing a damn thing if he doesn't want to. And what results is two guys that are way taller than... The Rock is a big guy. But The Rock, as one of those guys at the height of which he blends in with everyone, because he's right at the same height as a lot of the guys from his era. Like, same height as Triple H, same height as Austin, right, in that thing. But Dan Severn, for somehow being big and, like, barrel-chested, makes The Rock look taller.
Well, I mean, there's a very different look between these two wrestlers when they're coming into the ring. I mean, The Rock looks like a professional wrestler. Mm-hmm. Dan Severn does not look like a professional wrestler. Would you like to know what Dan Severn looks like, gentlemen?
Somebody's dad.
Go on.
Dan Severn looks like the milkman who came by and fucked your mom. Dan Severn looks like what happens when Super Mario took all the steroids. Dan Severn looks like a Touch of Grey commercial spokesman showed up to Datelines to catch a predator. Dan Severn looks like Chef Boyardee just got out of a Russian internment camp.
I like that one.
Dan Severn looks like his mustache owns a body shop and he eats bread sandwiches every day. Dan Severn looks like someone hasn't told him that wrestling's fake. Or they're just too afraid to. Because there are times in that match when Rock looks at him like, this motherfucker's going to fucking hurt me.
Yeah, and he will.
And he will.
Yeah, at one point in the match, which was my favorite point, was when the hot mic caught Rock saying, God damn it,
I loved
in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Because he's just so frustrated.
Because Rock looks like a professional wrestler, not like Dan Severn, who looks like someone shaved King Kong but left a strip just above his upper lip only. Dan Severn looks like a fireman who isn't a fireman, but, you know, he shows up at your house late at night, then sets a fire, then puts it out before the real firefighters show up, and acts like he's a real fireman. Dan Severn looks like he cucks Leonardo, who's cucking Herb Jones, who's cucking the Sega Channel, that's cucking Bad Boys 2. All available in Season 1 in the archives. And, you know, as we go through the match, right, we get a little interference from the Nation. D'Lo comes in, does beautiful frog splash, has the armor.
This is one of my favorite gimmicks that I imagine lasting way longer than it did.
The low down, Mac.
Right.
The low down. The chest
low
protector.
down.
Yeah, I adore that.
And then Rock pins Severn, who looks like he's the kind of guy who refuses to understand when the party's over, right? And like, he just won't leave. Like, yeah, you're there clearly cleaning up, and Dan Severn's sitting there throwing darts by himself. You know?
I know that guy.
Yeah. But you don't want to say anything to him. You're just dropping hints that, like, it's time to go home because there's nobody there except Dan Severn.
That's good.
Well said, sir.
Well,
Thank you.
well put. Very nice. Very, very nice. But yeah, all of those things are true. And Danny Severn he does have like a whole Stalin look to him.
Danny Severn, huh?
Danny Severn.
Don't. You guys just said it 3 times. He's gonna fucking show up.
You know what? I bet you he is
He's
available
gonna
for
come
booking.
through the floor.
I'm smelling Chef Boyardee fucking like raviolis. I think that's the signal that he's on his way.
It's fear. Fear. Overstuffed.
So this has nothing to do with the match directly, but man, do I miss D'Lo Brown.
Oh, that was I love that gimmick, and I remember that chest protector gimmick lasting way longer than it did.
Yeah.
I thought it was forever.
It was like 3 years. It
Yeah.
wasn't.
No, like because Bob Orton wore that cast forever, and
Yes.
this is just the upgrade to Bob Orton's
Yes,
cast.
it's perfect.
And it was genius. It was freaking genius. I don't know who came up with it, but they need just a handshake. They should
tore
have.
his pec muscle, right?
He
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
You know, he did, but not as bad as they thought he did originally. And they're like, how do we use this? Because they removed him from bookings from it. And they're like, oh my god, let's give him the Bob Orton gimmick. It was fucking incredible. But as in all things, he ended up turning babyface not too much longer after this and fucking wasting that beautiful gimmick. But yeah, D'Lo Brown makes you, because you're like, oh, The Rock, and you're like, Dan Severn. And then this match is like, it's a horse fuckery, is what it is. Okay? And then D'Lo shows up and like, thank God. Then you're out, and that sweet ass, regardless of how bad this match is, that fucking Nation theme.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that shit slaps.
I'm like, oh man.
Rock has never had bad music.
Nope.
Pretty much
Well,
ever.
The first one.
The first one still was kind of a banger at the time.
It was a banger compared to other 96,
Yes.
other WWF The
Dun,
Music Volume 2
dun,
songs.
dun, dun.
The ultimate babyface
Yeah.
thing. But that Nation theme at that time, that 98 Nation, because when I hear that song, I think about SummerSlam 98, when he's coming out with that ladder and just, you're like, this. He's a star at that point. He's undisputably a star, stands there, and he knows that after this, he's the man. And
Next summer, when we do cover SummerSlam 1998, I cannot wait. Because that match is one of my favorite Rock matches of all time.
it's awesome.
And that show is one of my favorite SummerSlams of all time.
It's one of mine too.
Madison
It's so
Square
good.
Garden, Highway to Hell. We're going to get there.
Yes.
But-
So you mentioned horse fuckery.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the next match, which was a whole lot of horse fuckery. Al Snow versus Too Much. I'm sorry, Al Snow and the Head.
There's horse fuckery, and then there's actually watching a group of men fuck horses on live pay-per-view, and then there's whatever this was, and I approve because this whole thing, it's difficult to explain to anybody that hasn't seen it, but
It's great watching Noah. See, audience, you don't get to see Noah exacerbated as he's trying to figure out how to start this.
so what this is we have Too Much, who hadn't been too cool yet. They're not gone to too cool yet. Which was, the gimmick was, one guy's gimmick was that he is not Jerry Lawler's son. Well, clearly being Jerry Lawler's son. And he's definitely not having sex with this other gentleman whom he's definitely having sex with. And they're in a blood feud.
Blood feud. What?
With a crazy man.
Such a specific term to use.
And with a crazy man
Paints
whose
pictures.
tag team partner is a mannequin head.
With a wig.
With a wig, but
Yeah.
they both have "Help Me" written backwards on their head.
Because in
And
the mirror, that would be forward.
that would be forward. And
Yeah,
and
smart.
refereeing this contest is the one guy's father, who's definitely not his father.
It's not his
Who
father.
is his father?
It's not.
First and foremost, I want to point out that and every time I watch something old and Too Much come out, before they were too cool,
Yeah.
they were still just too much. I hear their fucking music,
Oh.
and all I think about is like, this does not fit them. It sounds like National Geographic. It sounds like some like Saturday morning tropical show for kids.
Brian Christopher approaches his prey.
The music is so
He takes it from
strange.
behind.
But anyhow, it's like, I did pick
it is
that.
strange, and it's one of those, like, I just think that Jim Johnson just put a loop on the drum machine.
I don't know how you almost broke Dave
I
there a
did.
little bit.
When you triggered National
He's
Geographic,
lost. He's
Scott
lost now.
Taylor pulls out his worm. Oh no, Brian Christopher is frightened. He'll have to go into defensive position.
And let's not let's not undercut the point that in what, a year's
Paint
time,
such a picture.
that Too Much, Too Cool would be like one of the most over acts that the WWF had.
Oh, yeah.
Like, big time over. I
One
was a
year
believer,
later.
You know? But they fought a guy with a head. And Jerry Lawler.
And not how Noah's implying.
Look,
No.
Yeah, no.
No.
And look, I want to put this in perspective for a fucking second. All right? Because I had the benefit of thinking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler's son, Scott Taylor, both very capable wrestlers.
Absolutely.
Very capable performers. Al Snow, another very capable performer. He's very good. He's an excellent teacher from what they tell me. The match, and he has a mannequin head that he's tagging with. But the thing that fucks me up is that one of the greatest wrestlers of all fucking time is refereeing this bullshit.
The single greatest punch in wrestling history.
Goddamn. And I appreciate that Jerry Lawler is a real pro in that regard. Because if he had shame, he'd say, fuck that. Listen, motherfucker, I'm like, what is he, like 122-time heavyweight champion of USWA?
Yeah, his own promotion.
But
Yeah.
fucking who cares, right? He's still one of the greats of all fucking time, period. And he's refereeing this dog shit. And I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm like, Jerry the king, the man who made David Letterman, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Who he is refereeing another man, and a fucking mannequin head. This is 1998 wrestling, folks. We got self-immolation. we got mannequin heads in tag team matches. What the fuck?
We got Chef Boyardee, Joseph Stalin.
We got
Matt mentioned.
Right.
All kinds of stuff. I think it's incredible, and I think
it's incredible.
I think it's incredible for all the wrong reasons until the finish, which to me is one of the most fucking ingenious finishes of all time. Because what it is it's like we've all been in a room where we're pitching jokes to somebody, right? And we're pitching jokes, and you say that joke, and rarely, I joke exactly as somebody half-assed asleep in the middle of the night pitches that joke. Does it ever come out exactly as you imagined it, unchanged from the moment you say it to the moment of execution? But this is one of those. Because picture this, dear sweet sexual listener. Fuck you, by the way. Fuck you. Here's a mannequin head. I keep wanting to say severed head, but it was never attached to begin with. Was the base picture mannequin head. And if you don't, Google it. And the whole point of wrestling is to pin or make your opponent submit. Well, the head can't tap out because it doesn't have hands.
Yeah, this isn't a 2-on-1 handicap match, ladies and gentlemen.
This is a tag team match.
It's a tag team match.
So,
which presents a very specific problem to have when the head is tagged in.
Yeah.
Because Noah, what does the head not have?
It does not have shoulders to be pinned down to the mat,
right,
or the ability to submit or to speak. So if you have a heel referee, how do you beat him? Well, part one of this is that you have the head inadvertently make the blind tag. On Al Snow, making the head the legal guy. And then, in a move that could only be described as pure absolute genius, Brian Christopher takes a bottle of Head and Shoulders shampoo and inserts it into the bottom of the head, therefore having shoulders on the head, allowing him to pin. And Jerry Lawler doesn't even fast count. At this point, he could count all day. There was no heel work in it. They didn't break any rules. Al Snow blind tags in a mannequin head. They find a loophole to beat him. The ref does not fast count, and everyone's fine.
And JR is just straight calling the match.
Just straight calls it the whole time.
Not even
and then
flinching.
he's like, head is the legal man in. I have no idea. I absolutely just fucking said that on a pay-per-view. He's like, but we're going to go with it.
Oh, my God.
Moving along, folks.
The absurdity of it.
It
added some levity.
It added
to the
a
show.
lot of things.
Well, we probably didn't need.
No, but in a time when a lot of the levity in the show came at the expense of someone's culture or somebody's sexual orientation, or the fact that they were just happened to be bored of women, right? That it was levity that was just cheeky ha-ha shenanigans writing was my whole thing. I just want to use this as an opportunity to point out one thing that I want to rant about. A lot of old-timers and famous wrestling people will talk about how they don't like a lot of today wrestling because it's a little ha-ha. A lot of Orange Cassidy, a lot of kayfabe has been tore down. Kenny Omega wrestling an 8-year-old girl kind of a thing. But this was during the time and
Yeah, he
attitude.
said it. It happened.
Yeah,
It's
did.
fucking weird.
It
I
did.
don't like it.
He didn't put her over, but thank God. But they did. And he also, we'll talk about there's a blow-up doll in wrestling that holds a victory over Kenny Omega.
That's a conversation for another episode.
Mae Young did give birth to a hand.
It was incredible. But the
I
same
saw it.
person who famously,
Slimy.
Jim Cornette, who famously argues with all this shit today, is one of the people that helped come up with the Head and Shoulders ahead and the blind tag ha-ha moment. So I point out that just because you don't like it today doesn't mean you didn't do it yourself. But I think this is an example to say that it should not have been on this show. But knowing what we have coming up later in this show, I'm glad we have these moments of popcorn. You can pause, go put a Hot Pocket in, come back, and not feel like you missed.
Tostitos, the Totino's pizza rolls. That's
Pizza rolls?
That's what we're doing.
I was going to go maybe
Yeah, we're doing
Tostitos, like the party pieces.
No, we're doing the Totino's pizza rolls.
So
I think for a long time I called it Tostitos pizza rolls, like inadvertently. Like I always call it espresso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only fucking idiots say that. No offense.
Ladies and gentlemen, one thing that I want to share with the audience is that even though we're in season 2, Dave is still going to go on crazy long tangents and rants about stories that people may or may not relate to. So just buckle in and stay tuned.
The snacks that he had at his party. Tostitos versus Tostitos.
Tostino. Listen, I think we've all made that mistake with those damn fucking
People
pizza
made that
bites.
mistake by having those conversations with me at parties when we were growing up. It fucking matter. It's just happening.
Damn right. Last thing I want to say about this match, although it is an entirely throwaway match, the best fucking part about it, the part that made me chuckle the fucking most, the part that made me just kind of go, ha, all right then, is one of the greatest wrestlers of all fucking time, one of the most over wrestlers of all fucking time, one of the most legendary wrestlers of all fucking time, turn to the fucking head and talk to it.
He did.
Like,
He reprimanded him.
I'm like, Jerry, God damn you. At that point, it's like, you know what, go ahead, man.
That is a team player.
Yeah, he's professional
is.
as hell, and I respect that. Like I said, it was just such a weird match that did not need to exist. And I was convinced that that was a Vince Russo decision for the whole fucking.
Half of it had to be. The other half.
And there's no way it wasn't.
There's part of it. It's just so Memphis.
Bro, yeah, there's no way it wasn't.
Oh my God, bro. What if you took their head and you put a bottle of shampoo,
I can hear
bro,
him saying it.
and you just cover it there? That would be great. It gets so over. It would be so over. And then Jim Cornette's like, ha ha ha. I don't fucking like you. You're really wrestling. I know, bro. I don't know. Guys, I don't want to be that guy, but fuck you. Of course I do. We're enjoying talking about this, aren't we?
Yes.
We're living that life.
Damn good time.
It's a good time.
It's good to be back.
You know what is an even better way to be back and kick off season 2? Let's fucking make this a 2-parter.
That's very on brand.
Yes. We didn't plan
It's been
for
a
it.
while since we did that. Let's do it.
Gotta get the splits in, man.
You gotta get in there. You gotta sometimes you just gotta drive it in there, split it in half, and then ask for permission later. And that's what we're gonna do. So, gentlemen, are you ready for it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then we'll end this soon, and then we'll give a 2-parter soon. Fuck you. I don't care. Why don't you judge me?
Thanks
Don't
for
look at me.
joining us. We appreciate it.
We'll be back soon with 2-part. Maybe we'll get to the actual reason we're all supposed to talk about the show in this match.
Well, we'll get there.
Maybe? Was that there? Will they
I know
ever
we'll probably
crown?
talk about it for a long time.
Yeah. Will they ever crown a King of the Ring? Who cares at this point?
That is crowning the King of the Ring is the least important thing of this pay-per-view.
Well, it's very important that you stick around for part 2. We will see you soon.